Welcome back. In today's video we will be making a coil basket. This coil basket that I made, I used 3mm braided macrame cord. For this one I used yarn. For this one I used 3mm single strand macrame cord. If this is your first time making a coil basket, using a single strand cord might be a little frustrating because it does start to unravel, but it's okay because you can flatten it out as it goes. But if you're new to this, I would recommend using a braided cord. This is a 4mm braided cord I used, and in today's video I'm actually going to be using this 5mm. So I will link where to get this brand in the description box below. I buy mine from a store called Mad for Macrame. I will link her Etsy and her website in the description box. So anytime you're using this cord, you always have to begin with the piece that has the knot. Now for the filler, I am going to be using this 9.5mm cotton piping that I got on Amazon. I will link this in the description box as well. You can also use this type of braided cord that is used for like a clothesline. I will also drop the link to this in the description box below. This one is 6mm, so just keep in mind that when you're making stuff, the thicker the cord, the bigger your basket. It'll end up being bigger quicker. Okay, so let's get started. So for this, you always have to cut your cord. It's not like when you're doing crochet and you can just leave it, or when you're doing macrame and you measure it. You're just cutting. I normally some people measure like their arm's length 2 times. I just grab a bunch and then cut. You will also need one of these little needles to slip one end of your cord through. Okay, then we are going to get to the other side of this. So there's many different ways to start this. When you're using this particular brand that I got from Amazon, once you cut it, it does end up opening up like this. Don't worry, it's okay, we will be covering that. So I like to begin holding it in my left hand, holding this in my right hand. You can hold it like this about 3 inches. And then you are just going to begin wrapping it around and try to make it tight and nice and even. You don't want gaps in it because you don't want any of the white part to show. So just keep wrapping it. Now this basket will go faster than the other ones that I've made because this braided cord I'm using is 5mm. The thicker the cord that you use, the faster it will go. So it is important to have this as tight as possible because once you turn it, it'll start to gap and you can see the openings a little bit, which is not a big deal because it's going to be covered, but just try your best to keep that as tight as possible. So we are going to fold this in half and you're going to squeeze on it as tight as you can and then continue. Now you might end up seeing a little bit of the white here when the basket is completed because of the thickness of this cord. It's not really like a huge deal, so it's going to be your preference. If it bothers you, you're going to have to keep messing with it so that it doesn't show. So just keep wrapping. Let's do one more time. Okay, holding it nice and tight, we're going to circle it again like this. Now this is thick cord, so it's going to be a little harder to squeeze and hold together. Then you take this end, stick it through the middle, and just pull it through. So I'm just going to push that one more time to try to cover that. So I'll actually try to wrap it like this so that it covers just a little bit more of that. So holding it in place, now you just pinch this with your thumb take this left hand and then start to wrap it, but you got to move your fingers back and forth. Pick a number of times you're going to do it. I normally do 4 times. You can do 3 times. You can do 5, 6, whatever number you choose. Just stick with that number. So there's 3, and then 4. And then again, I'm going to take the needle and try to close up my gap a little bit. And then stick it through the middle again, pull. And then just keep adjusting it. It's not as hard when you're using thinner cord. This is just a little tougher because it's thicker, but it's still really nice, so it'll be fine. So again, hold it in place. I'm going to wrap it again 4 times. This is the hardest part, honestly, when making these baskets, is this little centerpiece. And it's really just because it's a little awkward to hold. Okay, so here's my 4th. Okay, I'm gonna again put it through the middle. Okay, see, it's becoming easier already. So 4 more times again. These baskets take hours to make. So to make this tutorial, I decided to use the 5mm to make it go by a little faster. Stick it in the middle again. Four more. Basically, this is all you do. You just keep going until you're ready to do the sides. Okay, so there's 4. Okay, I'm gonna put it through this right here, again, the center. And just keep adjusting it. See, I'm gonna end up having this little opening right here, but it's fine. I don't mind. Okay, so I could go here through this to go here now, but I want to try to cover that piece of white. So I'm actually going to go through the center for my last and final time. And hope that I can just kind of cover that up a little bit, which I'm going to shift it so it does. So there, it covered that white spot that was still showing. Okay. Just going to scoot that over. So I'm not really sure yet to tell you how much you will need. I could tell you that I have made 2 baskets out of this so far. It's kind of just going to depend on once you get working with it, and then once you see how many rows you've made at the bottom and how big you want your basket to be. I just feel like it's something that you just gauge as you go. There's other people who have tutorials online that you can check out. See, now I'm going to go into this hole right here that'll help fill that gap because this cord is so thick. But yeah, you can check out other tutorials and they might tell you different information on how to cut it, or how to know how much you need, but I just go with the flow as I'm making it. So now I'm just gonna continue wrapping, and then every 4, so I like to actually turn it to and make sure that it's being covered on the back. Most of it is, there might be like little cracks here and there, but it's not a big deal, it's the bottom. So anyway, as you go. Okay, now there's my 4th. So now as you go, each round, you're gonna go into the one right below it. So I'm going to put my needle here and then just keep going. Just keep doing this until the bottom is as large as you would like it to be. So that could look like 4 rounds, 5 rounds, 8, 9, 10. It's up to you for how big you want your basket to be. So I'm gonna see, I'll probably do at least 5 rounds, so it'll be a little bit smaller, the basket. And then I will get back to you to show you how to add the cord once I run out of this. And then we will just continue the bottom. So as you keep going, it does get a lot easier. It's just, again, harder in the very beginning. So I wanted to show you now that I have my camera angled differently and I can hold it better, because before I was just standing holding it in the air. It's a lot quicker and easier. So just poke it through. And using braided cord is really easy because it goes in so nice, whereas when you're using single strand, a lot of times if you poke it through, it ends up getting caught or splitting. So this to me is a really good choice. Maybe not the 5mm, but for sure the 3mm. But this 5 does make it go by a lot faster. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Just find a space. So I want it to go on this side. There we go. Okay, and then just keep going. Once I run out, I will be right back to show you how to add more. Okay, so I am running out of cord. So I cut a new piece. I already put my needle through the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this once, but then I'm going to put it underneath. So it looks like that. I'm going to get my other piece, line it up right against it, and just start to wrap so that you're catching that other piece, the original piece. I'm just gonna check out the back, make sure it looks covered. Okay, it is. Okay, there's my 4th. So now both pieces, the original one is right here. You can't really see it, but it's there. This is my new piece. And then now you're just gonna continue on with what you were doing. Just continue wrapping until that's covered. I mean, once you get your first 4, you could snip it because it's going to be fine. It'll be in, but I might as well just keep going. Okay, there's my 4th. And I see little pieces from the original one, which I have tiny scissors. I will just snip them out. It's just from the end piece, no biggie. See, I think if you're using single strand cord, you can't really wrap it as quickly as you can with braided. Plus it looks like just so clean to me. That's it. So when you need to add another piece or another color, that's all you have to do. So I'm gonna continue a couple more rounds until I'm ready to start the side. Okay, so I have 5 rounds and I am counting from the center, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so to do the sides, you're just going to gently start lifting it forward and continue the exact same thing that you've been doing, just making this side piece go just a little higher, just elevate it up just a tad bit. And then as you continue your rounds, it'll go up higher and it will become much easier. So instead of keeping it perfectly flat, I just have it up just a little bit, as you can see there. And then continue with what you've been doing. And again, just kind of guide it so that it starts to want to go up. And as you continue doing that, it will just naturally take shape. Okay, so it's very, very subtle to begin with. Just keep going, and then as I get to the next round, I will be back to show you how we just continue making it go higher and higher. Okay, I got that first round done, so now I'm just going to continue, but I'm just going to basically put it over this previous round. So as you place it over, it'll start to make the basket go higher. So just give it a few more rounds and it'll start to look like this one here. Just continue. Just showing you the progress after a few rounds, how it is coming along nicely, taking its shape nicely. And I have a few more rows to go and then I will be done. So it looks like I'm running out of my piping, so I am going to make this my final round. So I am actually going to make some handles that will be like this. So from this point here, just make sure you have like an even amount on each side. So from the center, I have 9 going on both sides. So for this, I am going to, instead of going in after the 4th, I'm just going to continue wrapping it for a bit. Okay, that looks good right there. So I will count them, and then whatever number I have here, I'll make sure I do on this side as well. So I'm just going to give it a little push to make it go up a bit, and then I'm going to go through the back like I would regular. And then I'm going to continue the pattern, just like we've been doing, with doing 4 in between each of the longer ones that connects each row. So when you get to the opposite side, we're going to do the same thing. Okay, I've gotten to the other side. It looks just about even to me. I did not count anything. You can count if you want it to be super precise, but I'm good with where it's at. So I counted, I got about 17 wraps. So I'm going to again On this side, wrap it 17 times and then continue until I get to this side to close off the rest of the basket. So again, I'm just gonna do my other little handle here and then keep wrapping with the same pattern until I get to the side. Okay, it's time to trim this bottom piece at an angle because we are going to close it. So continue to wrap it like we were. I have a little piece of tape on mine because it gets a little messy. But it's okay because it keeps it much neater. Okay, so we're just actually going to do this wraparound loop a few times, and that is so that we can get this covered. Just slide it to cover those gaps. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, so I want to still give this a little bit more height. Even though my piping is already wrapped, I'm going to continue wrapping this row here just to kind of make it more even looking. There. So you have to do your best to try to make that as smooth as possible. It's always going to be a little obvious when you're using this type of piping, but I think it looks pretty good. So now, I mean, it's basically done. I just need to close this off so we can weave this back in to the sides. You can tie it in a knot. So I think I will just right here make a little knot and then trim off that piece. Or tuck it in. And that is it. That is how you make a coil basket. So I just started making these, and honestly, it takes a little time to get used to. They look a lot easier than what they are. I'm not saying that they're hard, but at first it is a bit awkward. This beginning part right here is definitely the biggest challenge, and then trying to close it off and make it smooth. But I'm very happy with it. I think it's adorable. This is my first time adding these handles, so I think it went pretty well. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you found it to be somewhat easy. I, again, highly recommend starting out with braided cord. And again, this is 3 millimeters. This is 5 millimeters. This took me less than 2 hours to make, and that is because I used the 9.5 millimeter piping and 5 millimeter braided macrame cord. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't, please don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.